In 2024, Argentina had 300% inflation. Prices doubled every 3 months. But in just 18 months, President Javier Milei slashed it down to 33%. How did a man with a chainsaw fix one of the world's worst economies? Welcome to Voice on Pages, where we decode global economic revolutions and uncover lessons the world can learn.
So let's start with this number, almost 290%. That was Argentina's peak annual inflation in April of 2024. Now, this isn't just, high prices. This is hyperinflation. It's an economic black hole where your money just evaporates. Imagine your weekly grocery bill doubling in the time it takes for winter to turn to spring. That was just normal life.
So how do you fix something so broken? Well, the answer came from Argentina's new president, Javier Milei. He's a libertarian economist who campaigned not just with promises, but with a really powerful and, very literal metaphor for his plan, a chainsaw. He vowed to take it to what he called the root of all the problems, bloated state spending.
To really get what the chainsaw was for, you first have to understand the fire he walked into. See, when Milei took office, he didn't just inherit a bad economy or a recession. He inherited an absolute five-alarm economic firestorm. I mean, just look at these numbers. The scale of the crisis was just staggering. And you know what? Forget the annual inflation for a second. Look at the monthly rate, 25.5%. That means prices were jumping by a quarter every single month. Over 40% of the entire country was living in poverty. And the cause? Well, it's right there. A century of living on credit. The government had run a deficit for 113 of the last 123 years.
So when this has been going on for generations, when your parents' savings and your grandparents' savings were all wiped out by one crisis after another, you can imagine what happens. Argentinians had lost all faith, not just in the government, but in their own currency. The basic trust that holds a country together, it was gone.
This wasn't about tweaking a budget or passing a new tax law. This was like performing emergency open-heart surgery. The situation needed something so radical, so extreme, it would either shock the system back to life or, frankly, kill it for good.
So, what did the chainsaw plan actually look like in practice? Well, Milei didn't just trim the budget. He unleashed that chainsaw on the entire structure of the Argentine state. He used a controversial economic playbook to do it.
It's a strategy called shock therapy. Think of it like a hard reset on a computer that's completely crashed. The whole idea is to push through deep, painful, and massive reforms all at once, like overnight. The goal is to send a crystal clear signal that the old ways are gone forever. But, man, the risks are huge. If people don't believe it'll stick, you could just trigger even more chaos.
And in practice, this thing was swift and it was deep. Government spending slashed by 30%. Nearly 35,000 public sector jobs gone. And then, using a single mega decree, Milei's team repealed or changed over 300 laws in one night, just ripping up decades of regulations.
The philosophy here was pretty simple: shrink the state itself. The number of federal ministries was literally cut in half, from 18 down to just 9. We're talking about entire arms of the government, ministries for culture, science, women and gender diversity. They were just gone, dissolved or absorbed into other departments.
And it wasn't just about cuts. A revolution in deregulation was happening at the same time. In just 20 months, the administration got rid of over 1,200 different regulations. This covered everything from rent controls to import restrictions to massive energy subsidies. This was a fundamental rewiring of the entire economy.
So you have the rest of the world watching all this, basically predicting riots in the streets and a total collapse. But inside Argentina, after decades and decades of failure, a lot of people saw this as the only path left. So the big question is, did it work?
Well, what happened next was, by pretty much any economic yardstick, just astonishing. The big top-line numbers started turning around faster than even the most optimistic forecasts had predicted.
And this right here, this is the headline. This is the whole ballgame. Taming inflation was the #1 goal of the entire plan, and the victory was massive. From that peak of nearly 300%, annual inflation absolutely plummeted to just over 33% in about 18 months.
But this chart, this shows you what that actually felt like for regular people. Monthly inflation, the number that actually determines how much prices go up at the grocery store, it collapsed from that chaotic 25.5% all the way down to under 2%. That was the lowest it had been in over 5 years. For the first time in a very long time, prices actually felt stable.
And the good news just kept rolling in from there. Argentina posted its first annual budget surplus in over a decade. The economy, after that initial shock, just roared back to life with over 6% GDP growth. And this is the most important part. As inflation came down, the poverty rate dropped a lot, all the way down from its peak.
But you know, a recovery this sharp, this fast, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't come for free. To get the whole picture, we have to look at the other side of the balance sheet, the very real, very human cost of this shock therapy.
Those deep spending cuts, they weren't just abstract numbers on a page. They had real, profound consequences. Freezing university budgets, that puts the future of public education at risk. Slashing scientific research funding, that threatens the country's ability to innovate down the road. And getting rid of social safety nets, well, that left some of the most vulnerable people with nowhere to turn.
And this leads us to the critical question that critics are asking. And they have a point. Is this recovery built to last? Or was the price paid by ordinary people, by the most vulnerable, just too high? And honestly, that is still the heart of the debate today.
But here's where the story takes a turn. This isn't just about Argentina anymore. The incredible results of this chainsaw model have turned a national recovery plan into a global political idea, and it has implications far, far beyond Buenos Aires.
The shockwaves from this experiment are now being felt all over the world. And here's why it could actually matter to you. First, it offers a brand new, really aggressive playbook for fighting inflation, one that favors deep government cuts over just raising interest rates. Second, it's kicking off an investment boom. $19 billion has already flooded back into the country. And third, believe it or not, it has directly entered the U.S. policy debate.
No, really. There's a new proposed U.S. department, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and it's officially studying Milei's model. Its co-chair, Elon Musk, has even called the effort to slash the U.S. federal budget the Manhattan Project of our time, with Argentina serving as the blueprint.
Think about that. For the first time in modern history, a major developed economy is looking at Argentina not as a warning, but as a role model for reform. The country isn't just exporting beef anymore, it's exporting a radical economic philosophy.
From 300% inflation to 33% in 18 months, the impossible became policy. But the question is, could Milei's radical capitalism fix America's debt problem too? We are Voice on Pages, and we break down global shifts like this every week. So hit subscribe and stay ahead of the curve.